You know what? There's nothing cooler than a battle rifle, and today on Grantham, we're going to be talking about battle rifles, from the classic FAL and G3, all the way to more modern variants such as the MRGG, as well as the Spear, Scar H, and 417. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, do I need a battle rifle? Well, that's a great question. What is a battle rifle? A battle rifle is typically a full power rifle cartridge being fired from a semi-automatic firearm, whether that be .308 most commonly in the United States, 6.5 Creedmoor, or whether it be 8mm or 7.62 by 5.4R. There are a lot of different calibers for battle rifles. Now, what they offer over your typical 5.56 rifles is, of course, going to be extreme power. We don't call it 308 for no reason, and it indeed does deliver a lot of hate to whatever target you're putting into it. In addition to that, it's also very good at defeating barriers, at getting through cars. However, there's a lot more weight, there's a lot more maintenance, there's a lot more downtime or possibility of parts breakage long-term compared to our 5.56 rifle. So the question for today is, battle rifles, should you own one? Well, don't worry, we're gonna let you know all about it. Now guys, we got a secret. There's a secret right now. Do you know what that secret is, Sawyer?
I don't.
The secret is that this content is free. Did you know that? You don't even pay for it. You pay for it with your time, but we make it worth your time. But the point is, if you're looking to help our sponsors out who keep this content free, don't forget to give a lot of love to Primary Arms, because you know what? They make amazing optics. The HTX1, incredible USA-made optic, probably one of the best USA-made optics. Well, we don't know that, but we love them. Point is, give them an email, say, hey, I love the HTX1. Does the HTX1 love me? If it does, you have to buy one. I don't know what to tell you. That's just the rules. I don't make them up. I just follow them. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Guys, if you're looking to get a rifle, we of course cannot recommend enough Bravo Company USA, a great rifle that doesn't break the bank, which is why we love them so much. The MCMR is an incredible upper. Give them a little look, and of course, email, or more importantly, comment on Bravo Company's latest post and say, I stand with the MCMR. Hashtag me too, because you're also on the side of the of BCM. This is, you know, it's ours now. I don't know what to tell you guys. Sorry. All ammunition is provided for by Last Shot Arizona. They are not a bulk ammunition provider. However, they got all that good defensive ammo like 70 grain TSX. Go check them out. Give them a ton of love. And of course, on this battle rifle video, we have to give a big thank you to Axe Arms for the MR308. In addition to doing that, they are actually sponsoring this video, so a big thank you to them. They have all the coolest imports. Just give them a ton of love. Tell them that you love them. Give them maybe, but the point is, high-end stuff, give them a look-see, give them a lot of love. What a surprise for you guys. We actually have a new sponsor, G-Code. If you're not familiar with G-Code, G-Code makes all the coolest gear, coolest holsters, and more importantly, they're American as hell. So get in there, get some cool pouches to hold your magazines, get some cool plate carriers, get some concealed carry stuff, because they absolutely rock. And if you don't wear G-Code, well then, you. With all that being said, talk's cheap. Battle rifles are, you know, extremely expensive, unfortunately. Now you can watch lovely Preston back here jamming mags. How you doing back there, buddy?
Oh, not too bad. How you doing?
This is what a college degree gets you.
A sick-ass job.
Today we're talking about battle rifles. So let's start with kind of defining the battle rifle. So in most cases within the US, you are going to be operating off of a 308 platform. What is so great about battle rifles is that typically many of these full-size rifle cartridges are also readily available. 308 is readily available, not just in gun stores, but in stores worldwide, because if you don't know, 308 is very commonly used for hunting. Preston, where can you find 308?
Everywhere. Walmart?
Yep. I mean, out here you can find, yeah, literally, out here you can find it at gas stations and stuff. The point is, that was one of the great things about owning a battle rifle. Now, there is a problem, of course. The problem is going to be your magazine size. So right here, we have your typical 20-round magazine that you typically see. And most battle rifles have a magazine size about this size. Now you might wonder to yourself, why can't they hold the good old 30 rounds? Well, if you come take a look right over here, we have a 30 round FAL mag right here, and you can see how large it is. Now the reason for that is due to the size of the cartridge as well as the magazine spring tension. So 30 rounds just gets a little bit ridiculously oversized. So for that reason, you see most people who are running battle rifles running either a 20 round or perhaps a 25 round mag, because Magpul makes a very good 25 rounder. But that's only going to be for rifles that use the SR25 pattern magazines. The point is, you're generally limited more on ammunition compared to 5.56. 5.56 also weighs quite a bit less compared to 308 or 7.62 by 5.4R, whatever have you. Point is, you're going to be carrying less ammunition overall. So the problem therein lies that for, I would say about since the 1960s, it's been well known that the side with more ammunition typically wins a gunfight. Not because they're delivering, heavier bullets and more firepower, but simply because getting shot at more keeps your head down more and allows the other element to maneuver more effectively. So the 308, the battle rifle, is not always the solution, but it has some very specific niches that it fills into very well. One place a battle rifle would do very well is in an urban environment where there's lots of cover and there's lots of vehicles. So when we talk cover, we talk things that are actually meant to stop bullets. 308 has a very good habit of pushing through cover, which makes it very good for that purpose. And although 5.56 generally dominates in urban, you still do want at some point to have some type of 308 rifle to punch through. Now, in addition to that, also think about vehicles. Vehicles are very good at stopping rounds, funny enough, mostly engine blocks. So the great thing about 308 is it just has a tendency to push straight through vehicles. So your ability to get a good hit on somebody, to get a good ballistically efficient hit that's going to put them out of the fight is very high with a 308 versus a 5.56, where you could see a lot of deflection or even complete stoppage of that round in the vehicle. So 308 definitely has its place. And finally, of course, you know that 308 is going to be delivering more energy on target at any distance compared to 5.56. So if we're talking about long range capability, the battle rifle is going to carry that performance a lot further compared to 5.56. We have a 150 grain round traveling about 27 to 2800 feet per second, depending on barrel length. You compare that to 5.56, about 55 to 62 grain projectile, could be heavier, traveling at around between 3000 and 2800. You can see that the 308 delivers a lot. Now, the 308 doesn't massively eclipse 5.56 in terms of range, but certainly 308 will do extremely well, 700 to 900, maybe even 1,000, depending on bullets and rifle gun type, etc. So the point is, there's a lot of good things about battle rifles, but what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be running a series of drills to show you how all the different battle rifles work. We have the classics, we have the moderns. We're going to be going through every category, showing you a couple different variations so you can see how it performs in a battle rifle role. And in a battle rifle role, it's going to be used in CQB to some extent because it will be your main rifle. So the first drill is going to be very simple. Let's go ahead and go through it. And funny enough, we will be starting with the FAL because, well, Rhodesia calls to me. On our first drill, we're going to be doing a very simple 7-yard 2 and 2, basically a hammered pair on these two targets. We're then going to be safetying the rifle up. We're going to turn, breaking the 180, of course. We're going to move to our barricade. From our barricade, we're going to engage these two paper targets right here, 2 and 2. This is testing maneuverability of the rifle because specifically right after this, we'll be short socking the rifle, getting to a knee, and we'll be engaging that target at about 120 yards. After one impact, I'll be moving down to the low brace position to deliver another round. So it's a fairly simple drill. We have a lot of guns to get through. So without further ado, let's launch into it. We're going to be starting off with the classic FAL. The FAL has been around for a very long time, since about the 1950s. And in almost every circle is known as the right hand or the right arm of the free world. This is because of its very widespread adoption by most NATO countries. Right here we have a very classic FN built FAL, the gold standard. Right here we have an imported FN built from Springfield, that's a SAR 48. Finally, we have a DSA OSW right here, which is a shortest variant. We have a long boy barrel, we've got our 18-inch barrel, and then we have the OSW 11-inch barrel. You might wonder, why an 11-inch barrel in 308? Don't you lose most energy? Yes, however, many countries that are adopting this, 308 is their main round. They don't have a good supply chain of other rounds. Therefore, if they need a short weapon, well, you're getting it in 308, hence the OSW. Without further ado, let's launch into this. The FAL is a short stroke gas operated weapon. It's very easy to adjust. The mags rock in much like an AK, and it is a pure vibe, and man, do these guns rock. Let's do it. Brett. We have A's on both, A's on both, and then of course we had about 2 misses there on the steel. Overall, pretty good run. Just a very smooth cycling weapon. You know, when you shoot it, you can really hear the internal mechanism through the stock and everything, just kind of ratcheting right up against your cheek. It feels amazing. I love it so much. FAL, incredible. Let's go down to the shorter variant and see how it runs. Next up, we have the upgraded FAL. Optics will be talking about this during the black screen portion. Let's see how she runs now. All right. Simple. You know what? Optics always make the world better. Very easy. And, you know, funny enough, the FAL, it does a very good job of being shortened from its original length. So even at the 18, the recoil impulse is very, very smooth. Okay, let's check our hits here. We've got alpha, 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 and 2 impacts. Clean run, feels good. Once again, iron sights and grand thumb. Yeah, I qualified in iron sights in the military. That's all that matters. Leave me alone. Next up, we have the OSW right here. 11-inch barrel, which is about as short as you want to get. Well, you really don't want to go that short in 308, but we have it. We have a little suppressor that's going to do its best, and let's see how she runs. Funny enough, with the DSA OSW, first like 20 rounds, I broke the extractor. I'm like, what a piece of crap. And now this extractor's run like 10,000 rounds. So, you know, either it works or it doesn't work, I guess. Brett. Nice. Simple, clean run with the OSW. Once again, the FAL does extremely good when you shorten the action and the barrel length. This thing is an absolute dream to shoot, and it does have a suppressor specific gas plug in there to ensure that we're not overgassing the system, as a quick note. Now, FALs have done incredible. Let's do a breakdown of them after we show our hits. So we got alpha, 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 alpha. It's getting kind of boring. Alpha, alpha, just kidding. I'm just that good. Alpha, alpha, 2 hits. And next thing up, that plane.
Oh no.
Hey, where's the chemtrail?
They're not spraying today. We're not in season.
So we finished with the FALs. Overall, the performance of the FALs has always been incredible. Now, here's the problem, is going to be that the best FALs are, of course, going to cost you a lot of money. They're typically going to be actual FN built ones, imported part kits that were built extremely well by Springfield, like the SAR 48, or custom builders like Arizona Response Systems makes incredible FALs. Now, when we go over to DSA, DSA also makes very good FALs, but from time to time, you'll get a lemon or one that just doesn't work. Just make sure to vet your gun and kind of go from there. But just understand, if you want to get the top quality, you're going to be paying something similar to what you'd pay for like a modern battle rifle, which we'll go over a little bit just later. But FAL, always a good choice. Now we have the venerable Heckler & Koch G3. Now, if you're not familiar with the G3, these guns are legendary and are incredible in every way. Now, this is an actual HK G3 that we have right here. You can also get imports, such as the HK91. Now, these are going to perform best. There are some custom companies like Dakota Tactical who also make very good G3 guns from parts kits. But when you go to, you know, PTR 91s, which is made by PTR, you can run into some issues. It's kind of like DSA, where you're either going to get a gun that works pretty well or one that just doesn't work and just has to be swapped out. So the customer service is pretty good between those two. So just understand that if you really want top quality, you're going to be paying what you pay for an HK91 about what you'd pay for a modern HK 417. So in which case, get the 417. What makes this gun so interesting is that it uses a roller delayed mechanism. Very strange, but more importantly, it doesn't suppress that well. If you want to throw a more traditional suppressor on this, it needs to have its locking piece changed out to ensure that it's not overgassed and it's not going to beat itself up. Now, with modern suppressors that are more flow through, you're going to have less of an impact on the bolt carrier speed velocity. So it could be a little bit better. Just understand the G3 is a little bit more finicky when it comes to ammunition and being suppressed. There's not a readily easy available way to change up the gassing on this guy because it's not gas. It simply uses those rollers to stop that bolt from retracting until the pressures are at a good level, hence how the locking piece works. So this is not a gas tube, this is a cocking tube. But with all that being said, let's actually see how she runs right here. We'll do the big old HK slap. Actually on the G3, you don't need to lock the bolt back in order to charge it, just as a quick note, but it always feels good. All right, let's strap the G3. All right. Yeah, you know, funny enough, I threw those 2 shots. That was all me. G3 is a very accurate weapon. One other note about it is that the barrel length on these full-size G3s is actually 17.7 inches. Kind of weird. Let's go and let's finish up some of our thoughts on the G3.
After we show the hits.
Yep. Once again, getting mogged by Sawyer showing the hits. So alpha, 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 and then we had 2 mics overall on steel. Good run. That was me. So overall, when we get to the G3, first off, Preston, what do you think of the G3? Don't mog the G3 for the M14. Gosh,
I don't know much about the G3, but it sure is neat.
you're looking pretty stout, Brady.
Thanks. Do my best.
I kind of said brother and buddy the same. Okay.
Ready?
Anyhow,
Ready?
so with our G3 right here, they are a good option. It's not always the option I'm going to recommend for several reasons, mostly due to builders. Most of the G3 clones you see out there are PTR, which can be a little bit so-so. I'm sure some people get mad at me. And then the good ones are, of course, pretty expensive, where I think a more modern version could be gotten. But if you're dead set on having an HK G3, or as close as you can get to one, there are some really good upgrade options. So we have the Spur kit right here, which is commonly used by a few Nordic countries to upgrade their HK G3s. And it allows for better mounting points. I think it feels really good. Allows for a more modern kind of cheek weld, and definitely overall helps. Now, the aluminum magazines are probably the best part of the G3. They are super cheap. It just so happens this is a steel mag, so choose the mags that work. But those little aluminum G3 mags can be had for, like, I don't want to say a number because it changes so much, but they're cheap as hell. So that brings us to the end of the G3. You definitely do feel more recoil from the G3 compared to the FAL. This doesn't mean being boo-hoo. I shoot a ton of different calibers, just letting you know, compared to the FAL. This gun rocks a little bit more, but gosh dang, with the right ammo, these G3s will run for a very, 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 very long time. What a great weapon. Now, you might wonder, how much does America love the M1 Garand? Well, we loved it so much that we just threw a magazine into it and kind of slightly upgraded the gas system. We had the M14. So you have the M14 right here, the shortest serving U.S. service rifle, although it has been pressed into service in various roles. So the M14 is a very interesting weapon, and the fact that they kept a lot of the holdovers from the Garand and just added the magazine, it is elegant without being, what's the word for it? Without being too bombastic about it, you know, it's kind of got like a little demure attitude about itself, if that makes sense, Sawyer.
I guess.
So what we have right here typically operates from a 20-round magazine. The question is, how good are these? Well, they've been combat proven, mostly in, you know, the Battle of Mogadishu, where it blew people's heads smooth off. It's a great weapon. You'll be surprised at how low the recoil is, but more importantly, let's talk about some good builders. So when it comes to the M14, LRB, Fulton Armory, Smith Enterprises make excellent M14s. About to take a look at the James Rivers. Can't say anything about those. But when it comes to Springfield Armory M14s or the M1A, not so much. I typically recommend kind of skipping over those. We do have a Springfield Armory right here. This is one of their Scout models. And with this, we actually had to send it into Fulton Armory to have them fix all of the problems in the gun. Now, you might wonder, how do they have problems? Well, the forgings just aren't quite there. Because you have some angles that are incorrect within the geometry of the gun. This leads to undue wear, which will eventually shut the gun down far more prematurely than it should have been, and will also affect accuracy. So Fulton, LRB, all these other companies can help kind of spruce it up. We recommend Fulton. They did a great job with the Scout. But with all that being said, let's get some shooting done with the Black Hawk Down Special. And safety is just like the old M1 Garand. It's a little danger finger right there. All right, Right. There we go. Dude, this is such a smooth gun to shoot. This one's a Fulton Armory, and my God, it is a very accurate, very smooth rifle to shoot. Let's go take a look at our groups. We got alphas, we got alpha, and then what do we have? We had two misses, but I got an impact, but it's 4 shots total, 2 impacts. That was, the hold on it was just a little bit different from what I thought it was. That's on me, should know my holds, but honestly guys, I'm switching between like 15 different guns right now, so give me a little bit of slack. Next up we have the M14 Scout. This is an 18-inch variant, and I don't know, this thing's just the Vibe Master 3000. I don't know what else to say about it. Also has a nice little bolt release right here. We'll show that to you a little bit. Right. I don't know why I shot better with this one. This guy has the very aggressive Springfield Armory brake right there, and that thing just takes tells recoil. It just says no. It's a very smooth gun to shoot. Actually, here, Preston, give this a shot. Let me know what you think of the recoil. You just shot the other M14, right?
Yep.
All right, tell me what you think. Whoa.
That's wild.
How wonderful is that? Now,
That is incredible.
your second thing you can do, go grab me another mag. Oh, on the M14. So at this point, we'll show you the bolt release. Probably one of the coolest upgrades you can do on the M14. I love how simple it is. Bolt release. Now that being said, charging the M14 is not that hard, but let's go and let's talk about the M14s. All right, the venerable M14. This is something that I will always recommend because, well, I love them if they're built by a good builder. Now, there are shorter variants, such as the SOCOM model, or many other companies make their own 16-inch variant, but I like it in the 18 plus. In addition, there is, of course, the EBR that we all know and love. We have a little video of it shooting right here. EBR is awesome. EBR also turns your gun into a boat anchor. Makes about 12 pounds without anything else on it, which is funny because it was used by the Navy so much. Got him! Got him! Take that, Navy. You also mount your optics backwards. So, I typically recommend just a standard stock, wood stock with some Volter upgrades or something like that. Keep it simple on your M14 and you'll be happy, and plus you'll be a vibe to be reckoned with. But that brings us to the end of the M14s. Let's move on to some very interesting guns. Next up, we have our modern battle rifles. Now, there are a lot of examples right here, but what we have to point out is that battle rifles have a very long history, both in the global war on terror as well as in the conflict war in Ukraine. So if we come over here and take a look at the SCAR, for example, the SCAR has been used both heavily within the global war on terror as well as heavily used within the war in Ukraine. This is a well-vetted, well-proven rifle. Now, the thing I also want to point out is what's very cool about modern battle rifles is that for the most part, they split the difference. They can both work as a battle rifle as well as, in most cases, due to improvements in gas systems, improvements in engineering, improvements in metals, they can also act as a DMR. They're that accurate compared to older, more classic battle rifles that had to be specifically built up in their configuration to make them as accurate as possible. These modern guns, for the most part, have that accuracy out of the box. The SCAR is a well-known 1.1 to 1.0 MOA shooter. That's incredible and something that the FNFAL can only dream about. Moving over, we have another GWAT Titan, the HK417, massively used within the global war on terror as well as within the war in Ukraine. Also has a very good pedigree of just being an absolute beast. Between these two guns right here, I call them S tier. We'll talk more about that later. The SCAR H is also the lightest battle rifle that we have here, weighing in at about 8 pounds compared to about 9 point and some change on the 417, with the others being a little bit more. Right here, we have a very cool one. This is from Larue. This is one of their MRGGs. This is their A/S assaulter and or mid-range variant. This has a 14.5 barrel and 6.5 Creedmoor. Again, full power rifle cartridge, can be used as a DMR, also a battle rifle. Also very expensive. With all these, you're looking to spend about $3K plus minimum. Right here, we have the SIG Spear. I know you guys hate SIG. That being said, the Spear is actually a very well constructed and well vetted rifle at this point that has proven itself quite well within the military. So we have the Spear right here. This one's in 308. We don't have the 277 Fury one. And finally, we do have the Mark 1. This is some Geisley. This is merely to show that 14.5 battle rifles, otherwise known as mid-range gas guns or MRGGs, are coming into play heavily within the United States military as well as other NATO foreign forces. That's a lot of talking. Let's get shooting. Let's start with the SCAR. First up, we have the SCAR H. They call it the SCAR because it's going to leave a scar in your wallet. Just kidding. Take that out. Now, if you notice, guys, one quick note, you'll see me sometimes going low ready versus high ready. Some classic rifles, the safeties are so short, you kind of have to reach up more, and it's harder when you're down in the low ready, as a quick note. Not so much a problem with the SCAR. All right. Nice. Super easy. The SCAR is just a very light recoiling weapon platform that does okay suppressed. Now, with more modern pistons that you can get better gas plugs that work really well with the SCAR and help it with suppressor usage. Otherwise, it's a little bit rough unless you have a good flow through can like we have right here. So SCAR H, let's go take a look at the groupings. We have alphas, 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 and we threw one delta there. That was on me. Got a little gas out there. It's my life. 2 impacts on steel, no problem. SCAR felt wonderful. The recoil is, I kind of use the SCAR as like the base. It's snappy, but it definitely doesn't feel like you're shooting a 308. With like a G3, you feel like you're shooting a 308 or like, a hunting rifle. The SCAR, you feel like you're shooting like a really badly gassed 5.56 gun, just kind of punching your shoulder. It's really not that bad. Right here we have the Battlefield 6 GOAT, the HK417. This is the MR308. You can also get the MR762A1 or A4 that also perform very, very well. These European imports are closest to the 417, but everything does pretty well. I'm sorry, this is like my favorite battle rifle. Okay, let's give it a shot. All right. Nice. Feels good. Okay, let's see what our groupings look like. Got alphas, 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 one line break, but still alpha. We'll take it. Got a miss there on that second position because I got excited. I was nervous. I wanted to show you how good it was, and just got a little bit nervous. That's all, guys. So of any battle rifle we've shot or will shoot today, the 417, in my opinion, has the best recoil impulse. It's very, very light, very easy to make follow-up shots. You saw on that second one when I missed, the minute I saw that impact, I was watching it through glass and it was easy to make a correction. So 417 is the GOAT, feels incredible. I love this thing. Axe Arms imports them, and you're gonna pay for it, but man, I think it's worth it. Right here we have the Larue MRGG AS. Larue is well known for making incredible 308 rifles. Now you do pay the price, as with everything when it comes to a battle rifle. Your price on both gun, mags, and ammo is much higher than 5.56, but with Larue, definitely worth it, and it's just a sexy looking gun. This looks good, doesn't this?
It's pretty.
You like this, Preston. You like this gun. Give it a shot. All right. The MRGG felt great. The recoil is a little harsher. We do have a very short barrel, and Larue's always are overgassed a teeny bit. This isn't a bad thing. It's merely that they really want their rifles to run through any type of grit, sand, dust. If you really want to tame it down, you can dial down the gas block, or you can of course put a Volter A5 in there, but I like it as it is. That was 6.5 Creedmoor. Felt really good. A little snappy, Definitely of this bunch, probably going to be the one that recoils hardest. Right here we have the SIG Spear. This one's in 308 with 13-inch barrel. Let's try it out. I've been pretty happy with it. It's never really given me any problems. It is gassed a little hard, kind of like the Larue, but on a combat gas gun, you kind of expect it. I won't give it all the passes though, because at the same time, both the 417 and the SCAR are also combat gas, and so pleasant to shoot. So there's that. Right. Hits on the SIG, we got alphas, alpha, and then seal, no problem. Good old SIG Spear right here. Felt pretty good. It would be, if we were ranking based on recoil, it's less than the MRGG. I mean, it's got a suppressor too, but still more than the SCAR, especially the 417. So Spear, still good gun, just not my favorite. But especially if you're in the military, you're a guy where this is what you're issued, I don't see any problem with owning one of these and training with it every day. All right, boys, we're out here at the, I guess the longer portion of the range. So we wanted to show you that these battle rifles, these rifles are very capable. So we have a target about 550 right here. We're gonna start with our 13-inch barreled MR308/417, to show you how easy it is to get follow-up hits, just to show you the capabilities of this guy. Now you can do it with, of course, 5.56, but you're not gonna hit it with quite as much authority. Okay, so as you can see, making impacts with these even short barrel 308s is very easy. You can make shots at further distances as well. Just understand your drop, especially with a shorter barrel, is going to be a little bit greater. So showing the capabilities of the 417, which is a psychotically consistent and accurate weapon. Let's go ahead and let's move over to the SCAR to show you that it's just as capable. All right, boys, now we're up here with the SCAR H. We're gonna go ahead and shoot this at the same distance, 550. We have a 1:4 optic on here, so a little bit less magnification, but definitely still doable. We are shooting 168 grain SMKs, which are great for long distance shooting. Okay, fairly easy with the SCAR as well. Once we got our hold, it was nice to have a spotter. The SCAR is also a very capable weapon. Between the two of these, I consider them kind of the S tier kind of battle rifles we have right here. The SCAR is a lighter rifle. The recoil is a little bit more snappy. The 417 is a slightly heavier rifle by about a pound, and the recoil is, of course, less due to the weight. Also, I think the operating system helps a little bit compared to the SCAR's big old heavy bolt. So between the two, you're going to take your choice of which one you like more, because you're now contractually required to get one or the other. I'm sorry, there's no nothing we can do about it. That's life. Now, we've done a lot of shooting with this. Let's go ahead and try out the FAL with a little red dot. Let's see if we can do it. All right, we're out with the 18-inch FAL right here. It can do it, but we have a red dot on it, so it'll be a little more difficult. Target's a little hard to see because, well, I'm old. So, actually, I'm not old. Am I old?
Unk, at least.
Fair enough.
Target right.
Gotcha.
Half target right, half target low. Impact.
Neat.
Just under. Right edge. Impact.
Nice. So, battle rifle usage, even with the red dot at range, very doable. Men used to be shooting battle rifles at each other all day. That was World War II, actually. So battle rifles are 100% capable of making those long shots, as you can see. Now, we've done a lot of shooting with a lot of different types of battle rifles, but there's actually a lot to talk about when it comes to setup, when it comes to different nuances of certain battle rifles. So let's go ahead, let's get to the black screen. Let's talk about this with full autism, my full power of gun autism. Is that what we call it? And we'll go and we'll break this all down, guys, and see what it's looking like. So at this point, we have done a lot of shooting, well, a good amount of shooting. We've done a lot of talking, but we're going to do even more talking as we delve into this autistically. So today we're going to be going through each of these battle rifles that we've talked about, talking about some of the quirks, and we're also going to be ranking them on the system that Fortniters know and love, or Call of Duty people, which is going to be S through F tier. Now, for today's video, you're not going to see anything in the F or D tier, simply due to the fact that, well, the rifles that we have shown today are fairly well vetted and proven. However, we'll see if we anger you guys with our rankings. Understand that they are ours. Your own experiences may vary, so just take everything that we say, add it to your own knowledge database, do your own research, because I am not the end all, nor am I the be all when it comes to knowledge. So obviously I'm holding my favorite battle rifle right here, which is the HK417, but we're not going to start with that. We're actually going to start with our classics, just like we did with the shooting. We'll be starting with the venerable FAL. So right here we have the FAL. Now we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but what I really want to say is that the FAL has always been a very well-proven rifle. This is due to the fact that it's just known to be super reliable. This is a combination of the short-stroke gas operation system, as well as due to the fact that the gas system is adjustable on the fly. As you can tell, we have this little wheel here. You can adjust the gas very easily. This is in stark contrast to, I would say, its direct competitor, which would be the G3. It's much easier to tune this gun to different types of ammo and to do it on the fly than it is the G3. Now, that being said, what I do want to say with the FAL is that if you want to suppress it with a more traditional design, make sure that you do get a gas plug that allows suppressed usage. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing the gun a little bit harder than it should be, unless you have a very good flow-through can, such as Hux Works or one of the new Strategic Sciences cans, although that would look really weird on an FAL. I don't know, maybe somebody's going to do it. But those are a couple quick notes here. And as noted before as well, we said that your experiences are going to vary based on the manufacturer of the FAL that you're dealing with. Now, we're not here to boo-hoo and say that DS Arms is a terrible company. They're not. In fact, I have many FLs from them that work very well. And like I said before, you'll have a couple parts breakages, maybe you won't, but they'll make it right. Their customer service has been very well. Just understand they're not going to quite stand up in quality compared to something like right here, the SAR 48, which is an FN-FAL imported parts kits built by Master Armors at Springfield, or whether it be an actual FN-FAL. Now, as you get to these nicer FALs, understand that the price is increasing very close to what you'd see from a SCAR or one of the nicer modern battle rifles. So there's always a little bit of a grain of salt there when I'm kind of talking about it, because the FAL upgraded is quite good. Just the price point makes it a little bit of a hard pill to swallow, especially when these newer battle rifles do perform better. And that's not at all saying that the FAL is a bad rifle. It's just the accuracy from this system, from this particular operating system, the way they did the barrel lockup, how everything works together, is not nearly as accurate or consistent as you see from a modern battle rifle. However, it has certainly withstood the test of time, which is why we include it in today's video. Now, we have a couple upgrades on this guy right here. We definitely recommend the upgrades from DS Arms as well as Voltor, although those are much harder to come by nowadays. This is a Voltor rail. Giving yourself the addition to add various attachments is a very normal thing to do in modern days. You need to night fight, you need to have a weapon light to ensure that you're doing positive ID on enemies. So we definitely recommend upgrading them. DS Arms also has a really good M-lock rail that we will definitely recommend. So moving back from there, we're not going to talk too much about the setup other than to say, yes, good. Optics, when it comes to the FAL, probably one of the best top covers is just the DS Arms top cover that gives you a Picatinny rail up top. It's very secure. It does kind of change how you're going to take down your rifle to clean it. Typically your top cover just comes right off. This is a semi-permanent install, so the way that you're cleaning is going to change a little bit. Beyond that, magazines are probably one of the kind of sore subjects when it comes to the FAL, which is that the magazines aren't nearly as ubiquitous as you used to see. And in addition to that, the FN-FAL, or especially good FAL mags, such as Austrian or South African surplus, are starting to come up in price quite a bit, where you're looking to pay like $50 a mag. So that is a big bummer when it comes to the FAL. You do, of course, have the thermal plastic magazines. I don't like them as more, and KCIs have never quite run well for me. I'm sure your experiences may vary, but that is our quick note on the FAL. Final thing I'll say when it comes to the FAL is that it does do very well when you shorten it. So if you're a guy, you just have a ton of 308, you really don't want to invest in another caliber, and you want to have a very short barreled 308, well, certainly getting down to OSW length works very well in the FAL. It's a very controllable. We love that platform from shooting it. It is ridiculous. It wastes a lot of powder because obviously that 308 projectile isn't nearly as fast, but if you have to, the FAL is definitely a good way of doing it. And as always, FAL is still the right arm of the free world. All right, we talked about the FAL. Let's move over to the G3. So the G3 definitely falls into the same category where if you buy an HK made G3, such as an HK91, an actual HK G3, you're looking at a very well-built G3, and you're going to see all of the wonderful things that you typically see with an HK G3, which was just insane reliability. It's going to beat the hell out of your brass, but it's always going to run. It's a bit of a beast, these G3s, but they are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rifles. I don't consider them as full featured as the FNFAL. People are going to get mad about that. I'm not saying that the G3 is worse. It's just suppressing it. It is just more of a pain when it comes to the G3. I will say adding optics to the G3, much easier. I do consider the claw mounts to be very secure and very good, and many G3s and further ones nowadays can also have the Picatinny rail welded up top, and that's also a very good optic mounting platform. The amount of aftermarket you have for the G3 is insane. This has been adopted ad nauseum in countries that you don't even know the name of. It's been run for a very long time. You're going to see very similar accuracy to the FAL, a little bit less barrel length. In fact, this is very similar to the barrel length of the FAL we just held up, because this is about 17.7 inches. Overall, a very good gun. Just understand if you're going to suppress it, just like the FAL, in the case of the G3, because it is a roller delayed system, there's no gas system on this guy. You do need to change the locking piece to ensure you're not beating this gun up. You'll start to get receiver bulge otherwise, and you'll very quickly shut your gun down. So make sure that you are taking care of it. If you take care of it, this gun will run forever. And the best part about the G3 are definitely the mags. And the mags are very inexpensive and easy to come by, which is wonderful. We have the spur upgraded kit on this, which is used on like the AK-4D. This is one of those Nordic countries, and it's incredible. Adds a more kind of modern butt sock right here, and then a more modern rail. This thing's very comfortable to hold on to, and you can add rail space wherever you need it. Otherwise, you don't need it. So, good old HK G3. We'll definitely recommend that. In shorter variants, I don't find that it runs nearly as well. That's my personal opinion, but the G3 KA4 is also a very popular weapon. Again, just make sure you get it from a reputable builder, HK, Dakota, Tactical, etc. The PTR, I have a PTR G3 KA4. It kind of decides on its own whether or not it's going to run. Isn't that the truth? So here,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes it's just like a bolt action rifle, which is unfortunate. So. What's something my buddy said to me? He said, "Hey, I got this gun for a really good price, like for a great deal, but it doesn't run." I'm like, "Well, then it really wasn't a great deal, was it?"
Dope paperweight.
All right here we have the M14. This is the Scout model. Now, this particular one is from Springfield Armory, although we had it completely worked over by Fulton Armory. Just like the other rifles that we've talked to at this point, your builder is really going to matter when it comes to your M14. LRB, Fulton Armory, Smith Enterprises. We're still looking at the James River Armory with their M14 clones, or some very reputable builder. But Springfield Armory just leaves a lot to be desired, and I know that's kind of hard to hear because they do come in at a much nicer price point compared to Fulton Armory M14. But just the unfortunate nature of battle rifles is that they just cost more, guys. That is the unfortunate nature of them. So on the M14, make sure you get a good builder, or if you don't get a good builder, you get a Springfield Armory, send it to one of the good builders to get it looked over, get things changed out for USGI parts as necessary. The M14 is a very smooth rifle, even down to 16 inches. The gun is just a pleasure to shoot. At the 18 is where I think it really shines, and you'll notice a lot of my battle rifles, at least the classic models, do sit around the 18-inch barrel length, because I find it to be a very choice barrel length when it comes to 308. Now, going back to here, there's a lot of different upgrades that you can have for the M14. Generally, I don't recommend the EBR. Can you grab the EBR off the wall right there? You can see Sawyer come through the camera right here. He's wearing all the good merch of the company.
Yeah, I'm wearing that hat.
So we typically don't recommend the EBR right here because although it is really cool, it's a vibe, it looks great. They are very heavy. It's a boat anchor. We've already talked about it. So generally, this is one I recommend. There are many other good ones. Obviously, we're huge fans of Voltor. Those are harder to get nowadays. But you have a ton of different stock options. Generally, what I'll say is that a wood stock with a riser, if you have a AR height optic, works absolutely great. This is a fairly simplistic setup. We just have a cheek riser. We have Voltor with the optic rail attached, so just an optic rail. And then we have laser light on the side. Fairly simple, about all you need when it comes to a setup. So M14s, I can't say enough about how well they accurize and how smooth they feel in the shoulder compared to the FAL and the G3. They do win in terms of how good it feels in the shoulder. And I also find that the triggers are a lot better too, just due to the fact that the M1 Grand kind of trigger set, the M14 trigger set, it's very easy to tune and get to a very lightweight. And probably the best thing you can do for the M14, add that little bolt release right there, you get yourself a really good rifle. So we've gone through the classics. Let's take a moment. Let's talk a little bit about employment of battle rifles, and then we'll move on to the modern ones.
Yeah, the nice thing about the M14 is if you live in a state with gas around $7, it's probably your only option.
Yeah, honestly, right? So right here we have the Scar H / the Scar 17S. Same thing for the most part. Let's talk a little bit about employment when it comes to 308. Obviously, generally, the biggest thing is going to be mag pouches. How much ammunition can you carry on you? So obviously we pimped our own product, the Onward Research Assaulter's Placard. I designed it, so I'm a huge fan of it, just because you can hold 6 up front or breaching, deck cord, whatever, plus, you know, little accoutrements like needle Ds and all that kind of stuff. But should you not want that, there are many other good options, from S-Tac to many others. The point is, find yourself a good way of carrying the ammunition, because that's probably going to be one of the biggest constraints when it comes to a 308. Make sure you have enough ammunition. The other great thing about 308 is the different types of rounds. You have anywhere from your AP rounds to your incendiary rounds. 308's a fairly versatile caliber, obviously too small to carry a payload within the slug itself. But still, you have a lot of very interesting rounds from like M80 Alpha 1, which is a current military issued round, which does very well, all the way to your good old normal M80 ball and stuff. So understand your constraints when it comes to ammunition, how much you're carrying. If you're operating with a team of guys and end of the world, understand that your ammo, your amount of suppression that you're going to be doing is going to be different. You're going to be employed in a slightly different manner compared to your typical rifleman, just due to the amount of ammunition that you have. You're going to have to adjust your tactics, techniques, and procedures accordingly. Which is, you know, you're talking fire where one guy fires and you fire. That's not going to go very well for you, because you're going to run out of ammunition very quickly compared to a guy with an AR. So let that be a note. For me personally, 308 is big. This is something that I definitely plan on carrying if things were to go somewhat wrong, whether it be a Scar or the 417, just due to the fact that the amount of vehicles that you see, the amount of vehicle introduction that you might have to get into, and also the amount of hard cover that you see in urban environments. The 308 really does shine. Again, if you're a guy alone, maybe 308's not the way to go, but if you have a small team that you're working with, a guy with a 308 is going to be good to have, to make sure that you can intercept those vehicles, take them down before they can, you know, just straight run into you or something. It's always good to have a larger caliber rifle with you. And especially on these more modern designs, like the Scar H, the 417, the Spear, the Larue MRGG, mid-range gas gun, yeah, MRGG. I always get that, it's always autism. Oh my God, where was I?
Autism.
Before that. Okay, point is, with these modern guns, they're so accurate from the factory that they can actually fill the role of a DMR. If you're not familiar with what a DMR is, it's a designated marksman, or DMR specifically is a designated marksman's rifle. So typically what a DMR is intended to do is to close the distance, or fill in the gap between what your typical infantryman's rifle can do, which is about 400 or 500 yards, and then bridge that until what a typical actual sniper can do, which is about 1,000 to 1,200 out. Due to the accuracy and how good these weapons are built nowadays, these can, even with short barrels, these can absolutely fill a DMR role, which makes battle rifles in many cases a very multifaceted gun. Now you might wonder, what is the difference between a battle rifle and a DMR? Well, right here we have a 417 that has been set up to be a designated marksman's rifle. The barrel length is very similar. It's 16 on this particular guy. This is actually the exact pretty much setup that you see with the United States Army with their designated marksman's rifle, which is the M110A1, which is basically an HK417, which is what we have right here. So we have a rail that comes all the way out to protect the barrel. So if you have to lay it on barricade cover, we have a bipod right here. We have a longer range optic right here. We have a 4-16, and then typically you're gonna have a stock that's a little bit more full featured so that you can use it in more of the DMR role. But you know, your regular stock can work. So there really isn't too much of a difference between your battle rifle and your DMR. It really comes down to setup, especially with modern day designs. So that is the best part about modern day battle rifles, and it is one of the reasons why I continually kind of go back to pushing you more in the direction, if you're using this seriously, and that's what this video is about, serious civilian use, I would definitely push you more towards getting a modern setup. So we beat on that horse ad nauseum. Let's go back into our modern battle rifles. Let's go through them, and then let's rank them all S through F tier, the couple in the S tier. So first off, we have the HK417. This is a classic. You guys probably know it, you love it, whether you played you know, Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, whatever the heck you played, any video game, the SCAR was in there. And what's great, they always say never meet your heroes. When it comes to the SCAR, you definitely want to meet your hero, because the SCAR is actually a wonderful rifle in real life. One of the greatest things about this is how lightweight it is. SCAR heavy, and yet it's just light as hell. So this thing weighs in about 8.8 pounds. Obviously with optics, suppressor, all that kind of stuff, it's going to weigh more. But base weight is actually quite low. So that's going to be wonderful. It allows you to carry more ammo, less fatigue. You can hold it for a longer period of time. And especially if you're operating with like a heavy MG, like a HMG or a GPMG team, you have a lot of ammo commonality with like a 240, and that can be very nice if you're going to be supporting those types of dudes. So the SCAR is 100% it. Now, of course, the big problem is going to be suppression. There are different types of gas plugs and jet ports that you can put into the SCAR to adjust it to the different types of suppressors that you use. From the factory, from FN, it leaves a lot to be desired, and it's probably one of my greatest criticisms when it comes to the OG SCAR. The newer SCARs haven't tried out yet, so, you know, I might have to eat crow on that one. As they come from the factory pre-2026, they left a lot to be desired. But there's a lot of different upgrades on them. We have PMM upgrades on this one to extend the rail out. You can also extend it a little bit more so you can protect the barrel. You might wonder why do that. Well, when you have the rail out there, if you need to set this onto a barricade or something to make shots, and most of your shooting is not going to just be running around and reloading and doing backflips. Most of your shooting is going to be from cover, from concealment, from firing from a defilade. So this kind of stuff does matter a lot. And it's the same reason why the M110A1 has a very long rail as well. So that's what's going to matter. There are really good triggers when it comes to the SCAR, primarily Geisley. These types of weapons are absolutely incredible. And with a simple L-can on there, this thing can easily engage out to 700 yards. Wonderful, wonderful little rifle right here. And I'm gonna start the ranking right now. The SCAR H, SCAR 17, sits very firmly in the A tier. It would be S tier if not for the fact that it takes so much to suppress it to make sure it doesn't beat itself to death with a suppressor on there. Good old A tier SCAR.
Nah, well, I think the SCAR is S tier.
Why?
Because FN sells to civilians the same thing really they sell to the military.
It's pretty good, but if we're going to compare it straight across, say to a HK417, that's
go to gun.
So if we compare that to the 417, which is the rifle we're going to talk about next, this is, as of this particular video right now, I do consider the HK417 to be just one of the best battle rifles you can get. You do pay for it. It does cost a lot, whether it be an MR762, A4, A1, 417, MR308, or other kind of home-built variant. The 417 is a very capable and very simple gun to suppress. Much like an AR-15, the 417 doesn't really require a whole lot to be okay with suppression, which is saying a lot. Now you can of course get adjustable gas blocks that easily allow you to adjust between normal and suppress settings. Even on this one, I don't even have an adjustable, and even with a suppressor, this is an okay flow through design. It's not super high back pressure. It's, you know, towards the lower end. This is one of the SOF suppressors. But even still, this gun handles it absolutely no problem. It does very well with that. And it's for that reason that I will generally consider the 417 to be S tier, one of the best battle rifles currently available. Now, I'm sure that's going to piss some people off or lovers of the SCAR. And you know what? I might actually bump the SCAR up to S tier. I might actually go back on that.
Dude, it's so close. They're both so good.
Okay, we're gonna mend it. We're gonna say both the SCAR and the 417 sit in S tier just due to the fact that you're also getting the exact military model when it comes to the SCAR as well, with a little asterisk of suppression with, we have like S1 tier and we have like S2 tier.
It's like a line break.
Yeah, there's a little line break, and the SCAR H is right on the line break between S and A. But 417 is very good. Now, when it comes to these, kind of the biggest problem, especially the European models, is you are going to have quite the shoulder gap on your American muzzle devices. So you do have to have shims that work or muzzle devices that were specifically made for the MR3 or the European 417 thread pitch. Now, in the case of this guy, I actually did get a couple muzzle devices that were supposed to made up correctly and they didn't. So I ended up having to just get shims just from Home Depot that worked. I was worried, of course, about concentricity, but in the case of this, the concentricity is fine. So I guess the Chinese can make shims that are good enough to be used for suppressors. So just understand you're gonna have a little bit of a gap and you have to fill that in with shims. Just measure your barrel inner and outside diameter for the shoulder. Make sure you get it because you do need something for that muzzle device to bite onto. If there's no shoulder, if it's this thread, that ain't it. That's not gonna be good for you. Magazines are the biggest bummer when it comes to the 417. They're just expensive and huge. We are making a placard to hold 417 magazines as a quick note, so be not afraid. We have an LCAN 1.5 to 6 on this guy, which is beastly. That's what I love. On the top here, we have an aim-point acro on top for close-in fighting or for night vision shooting. This gun right here is it for me, quite good. So 417, I'm not going to gush about it anymore other than to say probably your best bet, however, your most expensive bet. Next up, we have the SIG Spear right here. So obviously, I know you guys have your opinions on SIG, but we do have to speak just plainly when it comes to the Spear. At this point, the Spear has had a lot of good time within the military and has begun to prove itself as a fairly well-loved platform. I do, of course, have problems with the Army adopting and stuff. We're not going to talk about that today, but when it comes to battle rifles, the Spear is a good choice to look at due to the amount of support and also due to the fact that when it comes to the Spear, you're getting basically the exact model the military is getting, and I love it when companies do that. There are newer models that are going to have shorter barrel lengths. This one is a 13-inch SBR. Believe me, I hate the NFA too, guys. So it's a great barrel length. Both the 417 and the SCAR H also have CQC barrels or 13-inch barrels, and 13 inches on 308 is a magical number. It does work very well. The SCAR is adjustable as far as its gassing. You have normal and suppressed settings. They work okay. There are newer gas plugs that you can get that I would definitely recommend that are going to help a little bit. Overall, the Spear is actually a fairly good design. It's a little bit redundant with the side charging and the back charging. That's a military requirement, but it's tough. It's capable. If you add in the Arisaka handguard kind of fix, it helps stiffen up the handguard so you don't have as much flex. Mine personally doesn't have a lot of flex. Mine's torqued to spec, but even still, I'm about to throw in the Arisaka fix on that to help with that rail flex. If you're pretty serious, I'd probably end up backing up my laser a little bit on the rail just because I don't quite trust it enough. But overall, fairly good rifle. It will definitely sit solidly in A tier. This is due to the fact that it just doesn't feel quite as good to shoot compared to the SCAR H, the 417. Also weighs a little bit more compared to those two. So it's good. It's just, it doesn't sit at the incredibly, I've been proven over multiple years of, you know, counterterrorism. I'm sure this will get proven at some point in, you know, counter China or something like that. Who knows? But for now, it's going to sit solidly in A tier. There's going to be further developments with the Spear, I'm sure, and it might change. But for now, A tier when it comes to the Spear. All right, next up when it comes to our battle rifles, this is going to kind of be multifaceted. We're going to be talking about 308 ARs. Obviously, you have AR-10, you have SR-25 platform. You know, specific, we typically recommend SR-25 platform. This is an SR-25 platform as far as its receiver construction is designed. However, this is a Larue MRGG. These, if you know anything about Larue, very, very well made, incredibly well made, well vetted, well known, well proven in combat. However, very, very expensive. Now, I do think that Larue and other high-end makers of these MRGGs definitely fall into a definite you should buy, whether it be Larue, LMT, Geisley. We have the Mark I right here. These are all incredibly good rifles that can easily be set up as battle rifles. What's really cool about the MRGG series is you have about a 14.5 barrel. This is first pioneered by Air Force Spec War, by the way. 14.5 barrel with in 6.5 Creedmoor. What's great with a 14.5 barrel with 6.5 Creedmoor is that it has about the same flight characteristics and range as a 20 to 22 inch 308 AR. That's just how good 6.5 Creedmoor is. Just travels a little bit better, flies better, just has better energy retention. So a lot of guys, you saw them beginning to move over to shorter mid-range gas guns like we see right here. You could simply call them battle rifles if you really wanted to, because that's what they feel like, but they end up falling into a DMR role a lot of the time. Now this particular guy from Larue is set up for assaulting, but we could just as easily throw a different buttstock on, a magnified optic, and boom, this guy would crush it as a DMR, easily making shots out to 800 to 1,000. These are very incredible rifles. So doesn't matter, Larue, LMT, Geisley, all very, very good. And they definitely sit very solidly in that A to S here, just breaking that mark between the two. Just right about there where the scar is. So I guess if we technically had to do it, if we actually had to really be strict with ourselves, we'd have 417 and scar in S tier. We'd have the the Spear in B tier, and then we'd have these MRGGs very solidly at a high A tier, because they are just about there in the S tier for me personally. It's just that they're more kind of tuned towards that longer range performance versus battle rifle performance. So we've talked a lot about the modern ones. Let's start to rank some of our more classic rifles. So when it comes to like the M14, I definitely put... This is a tough one.
Stir the pot.
Here we go. I'm going to put the M14 very solidly in the B tier. They are a little bit of a pain in the butt to suppress, so I don't find them to be that good. So I put it about the same level as a Spear for right now. When it comes to the FAL is such a well-proven platform and does well in so many categories that I would definitely put it into a very solid B tier. Now, finally, this brings us to the G3. The G3 I've kind of gone back and forth about. I would say the recoil is more harsh compared to the battle rifles that we talked about. That being said, it is a very classically well-known, reliable weapon, so we put it very solidly into B tier. It does well, just understand that suppression is not the funnest thing when it comes to the G3, but gosh, do these things just absolutely run forever. I mean, you see G3s in the deserts of Syria that have been, you know, unchanged since 1965, and they just continue to run auto, absolutely no problem. So that is a quick note. So that gets us towards the end. You're not going to see any CD or F tier, because that generally would fall under, you know, poorly made battle rifles, or battle rifles that we consider to be more toys. Do you have a DPMS AR-10? Sorry, it's just not quite it. But the point is, guys, don't care so much about our rankings. That's my personal ranking, you know, just what I believe. All these battle rifles are well done, well made, well vetted. So the point is, find the one that really tickles your fancy, that falls within your price point, while understanding that a good battle rifle is going to cost more, and ensure that you have money left over for 308 so you can actually practice and get good at these rifles. There's going to be a steeper threshold to getting good with a battle rifle compared to an AR-15 due to the increased weight of your loadout, the increased recoil, etc., etc. Point is, compared to everything that we've talked about previously in this channel, a battle rifle will call for more training, better understanding of ballistics, better holds, etc. But if you train all this stuff, you're gonna be dangerous as hell. Even with a G3, which, you know, sits in our solid B tier. If the guy's training with this, using this every day, I'm gonna be absolutely terrified of that guy, because the G3 is an absolute monster on the battlefield from a well-trained guy. Point is, guys, do I think battle rifles are worth it for civilians? 100% based on the scenario. Pick the right tool for the right job and you're going to be okay. But more importantly, train, train, train. Guys, thank you so much for watching. That brings us to the end of battle rifles. Point is, pick your favorite one, go from there, make sure it's full of vibes. And as always, guys, we got nothing else for you guys. Final thing for you guys, be a little bit of dad advice. A little bit of dad advice for today is, man, microplastics. You might want to stay away from them. They're, oh boy, they're kind of messing people up at this point. Stay away from microplastics. And apparently, yeah, just keep your eye on the news for microplastics. Figure out how to get that stuff out of your ball sack. finally, guys, if you are looking to do some game nights, we have Patreon. If you're ultra tier on Patreon, is that right? Ultra tier? Ultra tier, you actually get to game with me and Sawyer, and you get to play some Battlefield. We actually just played Half-Life.
We did. I suck. I'm terrible.
Yeah, all I play is Half-Life. I play it to like de-stress.
Oh, dude, I felt your sweat through the microphone.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not good. I was not proud of myself that day. Point is, we have a great time. Everybody talks about guns and gear, and we have just a lot of fun. There's no bad stuff going on there.
No, the 417's in Battlefield 6. I really like it.
There you have it. So get in there and check out the Patreon. Thank you so much, guys. All right, we're done.